Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on Kepner-Tregoe, 5 scenarios where Kepner-Tregoe can maximize service performance. So I am Aurélie Doucet. I am in the marketing team here at ITpreneurs, and I will be your host and moderator today. Today, I have the pleasure to be joined by two ITpreneurs Kepner-Tregoe instructors. Marcel Fouderer is our master trainer here at ITpreneurs, and Madeleine Townsend, IT service and governance specialist at Foster Melia. So today's agenda, we will first give you a quick introduction of ITpreneurs. We are aware that some of you may have joined us as a partner recently, or some of you may not be a partner yet. So we would like to give you an overview of the benefits of becoming a partner. And for the ones of you who are already a partner, please bear with us. It's only going to take a few minutes. Then I will hand over to Marcel, who will walk you through the Kepner-Tregoe method and how it works, and also the benefits for your organization and your customers' organization. And then Madeleine and Marcel will give you 5 concrete examples of how KT can maximize service performance within organization. Then after that, I will take it back and then give you a quick overview of the KT program we offer at ITpreneurs and you can benefit from. And we will answer your questions at the end of the webinar. So just to give you a quick introduction, so you can become a partner and enjoy offering training content from us. So here is an overview of our portfolio. It covers many domains, and we also work with content partners like Kepner-Tregoe, where you can offer exclusive program to your partners. We offer new and emerging frameworks, but also best practices framework in many different formats, in classroom, e-learning, blended, and business simulations, and in different languages as well. As you can see, we also offer the entire Axelos portfolio, and we've recently added 2 frameworks, Visilia and Prince2 Agile, and we will be launching the new Axelos ITO practitioner to the market Q1 next year when the new certification is available. Here is a quick infographic we've designed for you to help you cross-sell and understand and offer different frameworks related to the ITSM domain, and KT is one of them. What is our value proposition? So as a partner, you can offer a very comprehensive portfolio where you can at the same time save cost because you don't have to develop your own courseware and also maintain it. So we cover end-to-end process, and we have a team of customer solutions team who are here to support you across all over the world. So no matter where you are, they are here to support you 24/7. So what is important is we don't compete with our partners because we don't offer training. I'm going to let Marcel explain what is the KT method. So Marcel is our master trainer for Kepner-Tregoe and also other ITSM frameworks. He's been in the IT domain for more than 20 years, and he's been doing a lot of KT foundation training. He can tell you more about it later. So with no further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Marcel. So please.
Next slide, please, then. ITpreneurs and Kepner-Tregoe, they have a relationship already for many years, and together with Kepner-Tregoe, we developed an exclusive course for KT. That's the so-called KT Foundation course, which is covering, let's say, the necessary skills and capabilities to start working with the let's say 4 thinking processes within KT, and there are also 2 advanced workshops that you can take after the KT Foundation course. So these two workshops are completely focused. One of the two is completely focused towards, let's say, the ITIL incident management, and the other one is completely focused towards ITIL problem management. But actually, one of the processes within the KT methodology is problem analysis, and the advantage of problem analysis within KT is that it covers as well the ITIL incident management process and the ITIL problem management process, because it's looking to stop the effect and in parallel looking to the cause, the underlying cause. So it covers both incident and problem management according ITIL. How to compare Kepner-Tregoe and position it in comparison to ITIL? ITIL is a well-known framework for IT service management based on good practices. And ITIL is very strong in describing what you should do as an IT service management organization, in which order, what you should do in which order to, for example, manage incidents and manage problems or manage changes. But ITIL is not very strong in describing, for example, how you should investigate and diagnose an incident, how you should investigate and diagnose a problem, and how you prepare a change, for example, to ensure that you know the risks and know how to prevent these risks. So, and these are example aspects that Kepner-Tregoe is really outstanding in these areas. Really very strong, very, very strong. So summarizing, I always say that the KT starts there where ITIL stops. So in other words, where ITIL stops, that's where KT begins. So how you should investigate and diagnose and solve incidents and problems, that's where KT delivers an enormous amount of value. And can you go to the next slide, please? You know, it is Kepner-Tregoe is based on thinking processes, but KT is already out there for, I must say it correctly, 57 years already. So it exists quite a long period of time, and they are helping let's say many organizations over the whole world are really helped by using the KT methodologies. Actually, it also saved people's lives. Maybe you remember the Apollo 13 story. That's not only a movie, that's a real story that happened in real. So there was an Apollo rocket sent to the moon, and on their way to the moon they dealt with an explosion. So that mission changed from landing on the moon and collect rocks to bringing the astronauts back to Earth alive. And they were dealing with many different kinds of problems, like electricity problems, like CO2 problems. And at that time already they used KT, and thanks to that, these logical thinking processes, they saved the astronauts' lives. So very strong and very important. But KT is not very difficult. It are very logical thinking processes. And the strength of KT is that KT is still using the knowledge and the experience that is available within the technical guy's mind. So you have individuals that are dealing with an incident or dealing with a problem, but and KT is making an optimum use of the knowledge and experience of every individual that is involved in solving that incident and or solving a problem. When you look to how many organizations are dealing with complicated problems, they often form a problem team. So maybe you can go to the next slide. So when there is a complicated problem, many organizations, they form a problem team. But based on analytics and based on figures, adding an extra member in the problem team is not giving the guarantee that you as a team can solve the problem faster. No, it is the opposite, more or less. Adding a team means in general that the resolution time is going to increase with let's say 4 or 5 days for every additional member that you add in that team. But the strength of the KT thinking methodology is that together with all participants in the team, we go through the same thinking process and we still make use in an optimal way of the available knowledge and experience that is available in the group, because we are all looking to the same problem. We are all analyzing the problem via a structured approach. We all know what questions were asked, in which order. We all know what the answers were on each individual question. So we collected the facts in a very structured way, and that is helping the thinking process of each individual, and actually you exploit and generate, you make an optimum use of the combination of all thinking processes together, because what happens then is that we stimulate each other, the delegates stimulate each other and come up with ideas of potential and possible causes. And then of course we are also going to test these possible causes, which one is nonsense, which one is really making sense, before we are going to undertake further action. So let's say KT is making an optimal use of the available knowledge and experience that you have to solve that specific incident. Do you have to use the KT methodology for every incident and for every problem? No, absolutely not. If you are able to solve an incident very quickly based on the knowledge and experience, then please continue. A question, I hear some irritating background noise. Do you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, Marcel, we can hear you. I can also hear the... now it stopped.
Yeah, now it stopped.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now it's there again, but I continue. Okay. So maybe you can unmute yourself. Yeah, now it's good. I don't know what you did, but now it's gone.
I've unmuted myself actually, so I'll keep it like that.
Okay, so if you are able to solve an incident based on knowledge and experience, then go ahead. But the moment that you already did one attempt or two attempts, and it's obvious that you were not able to solve this incident based on your knowledge and experience, then the challenge is too complicated to do it by yourself. Then it is fantastic to have plan B available, so then you can continue to do more attempts based on knowledge and experience, but many times then you make things worse instead of making things better. And you wasted in the meantime more time, more resources, more money in making things worse instead of making things better. So in other words, if you realize I did one or two attempts to solve this incident, I'm not able to solve this incident based on knowledge and experience, then that's the moment to start applying the KT methodology, because that is a proven methodology which really, really works. And I can tell you that, okay, it's a big organization, big organizations, they were able already to save 6 million man-hours already after 1 year using the KT methodology. So 6 million man-hours saved already after 1 year in time spent on incident and problem solving. Now you can calculate how much money that company saved already after 1 year. Next slide, please. So yeah, more people involved is more time and cost if you are not following a structured process. Actually, I was already talking about this slide. So many organizations, they add more members to a problem team, but the whole problem team, when they are not following a structured thinking process together, facilitated by somebody who is aware and is capable to facilitate the KT processes, then it's going to be chaos, and that is leading to a longer time necessary to find the cause and to solve the problem instead of speeding it up. And that is, I assume, the purpose of all of us, to speed up the incident resolution and problem resolution time. Next slide, please. So this graph is showing you, let's say, it's not 3 or 4 days even, but 14 days. Every additional engineer involved added an average 14 days time to solve the problem. That's really amazing. But instead but if you are going to take a structured approach like KT, then you can speed it up enormously. Next slide, please. The goal is flow, indeed. So by using, let's say, by following a structured thinking approach, and that is KT, it are logical thinking processes. So the example here in the center is problem analysis. There are logical steps with logical questions, which is exploring and analyzing the complete problem, exploring different areas in what is the problem, where does the problem take place, when does it take place, and the size of the problem. And you ask these questions in what is the problem and what could also reasonably be the case, but it is not. By going through this kind of exercise, you create together with all team members a very crystal clear picture of what this problem is about. And you know, we all look to a problem from each individual's perspective. There is a slide in the course which is showing you a glass that is for one person half full. For the optimist, that glass is half full. For another one, that's the pessimist, is half empty. You know, the bottle is half full or half empty. Or for the project manager, the glass was twice as big as it needs to be. So every individual that is, let's say, involved in the problem solving, we all look to the same problem, but based on their own experience and their own knowledge. And the KT is making an optimum use of doing that by going through a logical thinking flow together. So we structure everybody's individual thinking process while we still make use of the knowledge and experience that is available. Next slide, please. So we have 4 different processes in the KT, and the KT Foundation course is also going to cover these 4 processes. The process projected in the center, that is the process called situation appraisal. That process is designed around the question, what exactly is going on at this moment? When you know what is going on at this moment, that helps you to bring a clear picture, to clarify it, to make sure that you know exactly what is going on. And most of the time, for serious things that are going on, there are multiple things that need to be done. And this process is helping you to create a complete picture of what is it that we need to do and which of these activities are more important compared to the other activities. And it's also helping you to identify what is it that we need to do. What kind of activity do we need to undertake? So, for example, crisis teams in a crisis situation, they use this process many times. They send people out to solve things or to rescue people or whatever, not before they have a clear picture of what is going on. If they didn't do a clear situation appraisal, it is going to be chaos then, because nobody knows who is doing what and why, and are they doing the right things. So this process is helping to clarify the whole picture of what is going on. From there, you can go to the so-called problem analysis process. That process is designed around the question, why did it happen? With the purpose to find the root cause. So in this process, we start to describe the problem. So this process is also there to avoid jumping too quickly to the cause. And that is what many organizations, they are excellent performers in jumping too quickly to the cause. So they are very well performing in making a conclusion too early, and then they implement the very easy to explain, logical but wrong solution. And by doing that, you spend a lot of time, a lot of resources, and a lot of money in implementing the wrong solution. And by implementing the wrong solution, you also make things worse. And that's not the purpose, and that's not what you are looking for. So in the problem analysis process, we try to avoid to jump to the cause. We try to describe the problem first, specify the problem very detailed. Based on the information on the analysis and the specification, that helps to come up with possible causes based on knowledge and experience and distinctions and changes. Then we evaluate possible causes. We test the ideas of possible causes against the facts that we have collected in specifying the problem. And then as an end result, some ideas are nonsense, other ideas are potential candidates, and then we have to make a decision which of these candidate causes pass the complete test, and which one of these is the most probable cause based on the assumptions, for example. And then we can, for example, stop the production or stop the machines and confirm what we think is the real cause. Is that also the real situation? So we are going to verify the assumptions, observe or try a fix, and monitor. And then we found, let's say, the cause of that incident, but we also need to think further than our nose length. So that is, KT is calling that think beyond the fix, think beyond the box, out of the box. So what is the cause of the cause? What kind of negative side effect is this cause creating? So this problem analysis process covers as well ITIL incident as ITIL problem management, because it's stopping the effect and looking for the structural cause. The third process, called decision analysis, is designed around the question, what should we do? So this is about making a choice. For example, select the best fix. This process is helping you to increase the chance that you are going to make a good decision instead of making the wrong decisions. Okay, we make decisions all the time, all day long. So for the intuitive decisions, we don't need this process. But for these decisions that are hurting us, if you make the wrong decision, if the investment is high, for example, or if you want to buy a new car or want to buy a new house, for normal human beings that requires a huge investment, and it's important then that you make the right decision. Then it is wise to base your decision not only on emotions, but also on rational arguments. And this process is helping you to go through these rational, logical, easy thinking steps. Emotions cannot be ruled out. Emotions are still playing an important role. But at least it's going to be a balanced decision then, by going through the rationales and also analyzing the risks. So we state the decision, we clarify the purpose, we evaluate alternatives. So what kind of possible candidates do we have and how is their performance? And we also assess the risk, and at the end we make a well-balanced choice. And then we have the last process in this diagram, potential problem analysis or potential opportunity analysis. So this potential problem analysis process is designed around the question, what lies ahead? So that is dealing with risks. So that can help you in any plan that you have. A plan to implement a change in the IT infrastructure. You want to ensure that that is going to be implemented in a smooth way. So to prepare an important change, you can apply this process. But not only for implementing changes, also for projects or for consolidation projects or for movements from one location to another. But actually that's also a project, but okay. Or you can also use this in your private life if you have certain plans. But I'm going to talk more about this later on. So in this potential problem analysis process, we identify potential problems, or we state an action. What is your plan? What is it that you try to achieve? What are the potential problems related to that plan? What are likely causes when you look to that plan? What can I already undertake to prevent that these likely causes are going to occur and is going to threaten my plan? And despite my preventive actions, when something goes wrong, what can I do then as a plan B, that is plan contingent actions? And what is starting to, so what is the trigger to start doing my actions for contingency? So that's a little bit introduction and overview of the 4 KT processes: situation appraisal, problem analysis, decision analysis, and potential problem analysis. Next slide, please. So KT is also mentioned in the ITIL books. I already mentioned the ITIL books in the incident and problem management process. When you open the ITIL books, you find a linear or a paragraph about investigation and diagnosis. Not much information is written there in the ITIL books. And even in that short piece of text described in the ITIL books, they refer to other frameworks, like Kepner-Tregoe. So how to solve incidents and how to solve problems and how to prepare changes, that's, for example, where you can use the KT logical thinking processes for. So KT starts there where ITIL ends, where ITIL stops. Next slide, please.
And I'm also going to invite Madeleine also to go through the 5 scenarios that Marcel and Madeleine are going to walk you through. Just before that, I would like to introduce Madeleine to you. So Madeleine is an instructor and a consultant with Foster Melia, based in South Africa. Madeleine has served several years as a consultant and a trainer for multiple frameworks such as ITIL, ISO 20K, COBIT, and of course Kepner-Tregoe, and more recently for Lean IT and Resilia. So Madeleine has been a KT program leader for the last 2 years, and she has now delivered many successful KT initiatives, and she will tell you more about it. So please, I think, Madeleine, this is your first scenario that you're going to explain to us.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So the first scenario that I wanted to talk about is a problem that I think many organizations actually battle with, and that is at the service desk. We find that many service desks lack ownership. They do not want to own the calls that come to them, which of course increases your incident resolution time. And there's increased frustration from your senior technical resources because there is just, the service desk is in a very bad habit, or falls into a very bad habit, of simply logging whatever the customer says and sending it off to your second line support. And typically it would say something like, can't connect to server, or user can't print, or can't access the network. And this creates frustration not only for the customer but also for the technical resources, because there's a misunderstanding between the service desk and the customer, and this is generally caused by things such as overgeneralization, reality perception, and it's a very real thing. What the customer thinks the problem is not always truly what the problem is. And when a service desk analyst simply writes down what they hear, this can become, of course, a big problem for the company. So coming on a KT Foundation course, what you learn about is, probably in the first half of the morning, is to listen and to ask questions. So looking at the situation appraisal, I think we did get a very nice introduction to it already, thanks to Marcel. But looking at the situation appraisal, one of the first things that we talk about in situation appraisal is that we need to ask questions first and not just react. I think we are so often just running after, let's just immediately go and resolve the problem because the management team has said that there's huge problems, or a customer has said that they can't connect to the server, so let's get the techies working on it straight away. And what situation appraisal is about is really just taking that deep breath and asking a question, and asking questions and listening to the customers, and very importantly, separate and clarify the problem, because you never know, very often there's more than one problem to work on, so you want to make sure that you separate all the different issues and be very clear as to what the situation is, and literally just understand the situation before you pass it on. So what we found, once the service desk got introduced to techniques such as questioning skills and situation appraisal, you found that there was suddenly more ownership at the service desk. The service desk knew how to ask questions. The service desk understood the importance of gathering good information before they pass it on to technical resources. And overall, the quality of incident records really increased dramatically. There was also a faster turnaround time on the incidents that were recorded, because the second line resources had the right information to deal with the issue. So it was no longer a situation of the network, they cannot connect to the network, but they knew exactly what the situation was that the customer was experiencing. Where were they? When did it happen? What is telling them that they have a network issue, which allowed them for faster turnaround times. And ultimately, in the long run, with after doing the KT Foundation, they actually had much more teamwork between the service desk and the technical resources. I think the technical resources understood the frustrations of the service desk, and the service desk was able to, they became skilled enough to ask the right questions through the KT situation appraisal. So over to you, Marcel.
Thank you. Next slide then, please. Yeah, technical issue. This nice picture, by the way, is a nice metaphor for talking about the problem analysis process. As mentioned earlier, the KT problem analysis thinking process can be applied for as well the ITIL incident as the ITIL problem management processes. And actually, that's also what we did and what we discussed as an example during, let's say, the many KT foundation courses that I delivered, that very often, quite often, the group is sharing were talking about a complicated problem that they were dealing with. So, for example, this is a nice picture. For example, a complicated problem in the network infrastructure, where they were not able to find the cause of it. So, what I did is I invited the guys to spend some extra time after the course, and then we did the problem analysis exercise. We went through the problem analysis process. And of course, there were some specialists invited to join that session, and they tried to find the root cause already for a couple of weeks. And actually, you cannot believe it or not, but after an hour, 1.5 hours, we got to the root cause. And yeah, this is an example about network infrastructure. But KT can be applied very well in an IT environment, but KT can be applied not only in IT, but in any environment where you have a problem. So KT can be applied on IT technical problems, but also on organizational problems. Also managers, they deal with challenges, they deal with problems. So they can also use the KT thinking processes to deal with their challenges, to deal with their problems. Also, the board of directors, they also have problems. They can also use the KT methodology. You can even use it in your private life, because everybody has also some problems in private life. So you can apply the KT in your professional life, but also in your private life. Another example that I want to share that is more or less outside IT, but yeah, just to show you how strong it is. I delivered a KT foundation course for a platinum mine in South Africa, and during the course they mentioned that they were having a problem with the technical equipment of a platinum mine. So yeah, as a facilitator of that course, I'm from Holland. I don't have any experience with platinum mine equipment in Holland. We don't have platinum mines in Holland. So I know what a platinum mine is, but that's where it stops. But I know the thinking processes. So also there, I invited the group to spend some extra time in the evening, and we had the platinum mine experts in the room. So I know what kind of questions to ask. I know what to do with their answers, and I know the logical thinking steps. So sometimes I wrote down an answer and I had no clue what that guy was talking about. But I just wrote it down and shared the answers with the group. And we went on and we went through the next logical steps of the process. So I facilitated that process, and also there, after 1.5 hours, we identified the root cause, which was saving that company an enormous amount of money. And that is great, that you know that it works, you know that it is a very strong methodology, and it also works in different kind of situations, in different kind of branches. As I told earlier, for the Apollo 13, in IT, outside IT, wherever, it really, really works. Up to you, Madeleine.
Thank you, Marcelo. Can you guys hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the next problem that I'm going to, or the next process that I'm going to be looking at is the decision analysis process. So as once again, as you mentioned before, the decision analysis process is often a very emotional time in many organizations' life when they've got to make some serious decisions. And in this particular example, what they found was that there were a lack of ownership from different technical resources. Some technical resources were very invested in the current incumbent. They were looking for a new software package. Some technical resources were very invested in the software application that was already running. Other technical resources were convinced that the current incumbent wasn't right. They wanted to move to a new one. And I actually found that they were actually in a state of flux because no decision was being made at this time. And this caused increased frustration for the senior technical resources and, of course, overall customer frustration because at the end of the day, no decision was being made. So they then took on, after coming on a KT Foundation course, where we learn about decision analysis, and really just to walk you through the process very quickly. You start, one of the first things that you do or you learn about within the decision analysis process is that you need to clarify the purpose. And that was the first thing that they decided to do as a team. They sat around one desk and they decided on the objectives. What do we want from the solution? So all of a sudden, it wasn't a discussion anymore about whether we need to do SAP or Oracle or Microsoft or whatever it was. It was saying, what do we ultimately want to get from this? The next step within the decision analysis process was then to decide what are your wants and your needs and what is important for us as a company to get out of this particular solution. And they then used those clearly defined objectives and clearly defined objectives to then evaluate alternatives fairly. So also, as Marcel said, look, you will still have an emotional attachment to this, but all of a sudden when the facts are open in front of you and you have agreement on how it will be measured, things become a lot easier because you know what you are looking for. And then finally, they assess the risk around the product that came out tops. And so even the ones that were originally against the particular solution that they wanted, after assessing the risks, they felt that they were heard throughout the process. They felt that they were consulted. They were part of the team. And ultimately, what was really the biggest benefit of this whole decision analysis process was the fact that everybody now owned a part of the decision. So it was no longer an us and them. So emotions didn't cloud the choice. They felt that they were working together as a team. So there was much more buy-in to the solution. And ultimately, I do think that for that particular organization, they chose the superior solution because they went through a process that allowed them to get to the best solution. And I spoke to them the other day. They said they were still very, very happy with the software that they eventually chose. So that's always good news to hear. Okay, so over to you again, Marcel.
Thank you. Nice slide. Improve the performance. Yeah, the example I want to share here was for a huge bank, and that huge bank was having problems about the reliability and availability of their online banking system. And there was a big pressure for, in this case, IT, to improve the situation and improve the availability and reliability of the online banking system within a relatively short period of time. but actually they were very stressed and they had no clue what to do exactly and what their approach should be. So what we chose was the potential problem analysis, try to use the potential problem analysis process. And actually that worked out very, very well. So what the plan was is to improve the overall reliability and availability to a certain percentage of the online banking system, because that was damaging their image if it was not having the right levels. So it was an important project for the bank and also an important project for IT to succeed. So, but they had no clue where to begin and what kind of problems they were going to deal with. And actually, we started to use the potential problem analysis process by first starting to write down the so-called action statement. So what is it exactly that we try to achieve? And what kind of plan do we have? What is the purpose of our plan? And based on that so-called action statement, we, with the group, with the team together, we just came up with a number of potential problems that we were able to foresee in achieving the end result. So what could be the bottlenecks? What kind of potential problems do we foresee? And by having done that, then we went through for every individual potential problem through, okay, looking to that specific potential problem, what were actually the likely causes for that potential problem? And that helped us to think about what can we as a team already do when we look to the preventive actions to prevent that these likely causes are going to materialize and going to cause that potential problem, which is going to threaten the realization of our plan. So we developed a number of preventive actions, and the team, let's say after that session, we could immediately start with executing and doing these preventive actions. And but not only we were thinking about what can we already undertake to prevent that something goes wrong, we also started to think, despite our preventive actions, that is not a guarantee that something goes wrong. So if something goes wrong, we should also have a so-called plan B. KT calls that a contingent action. So we also developed a number of plan Bs for the corresponding potential problems. And then we also made clear when do we need to start performing these contingent actions. We call that triggers. Okay, it is quite a serious effort to create that plan, but we did that for all the potential problems that we listed in the beginning. But when we were finished with this exercise, then we were fully in capital letters, fully prepared for making this plan a success. And it became a success. And also they were fully prepared when one of these aspects were going wrong. They knew what to do, so it gave an enormous amount of rest, no stress. They were prepared for what can happen, and actually they prevented a lot of things by doing these preventive actions already in advance. So that also worked out very, very well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marcel.
Okay, so the last scenario that... Good. Okay, so the last scenario, scenario 5, is really just around critical thinking skills in KT as a whole. So I'm not going to take too much of your time because I know we're running close to the hour, or on the hour. But what we assisted this one organization in really approaching the entire support environment from a different angle. Some of the problems that they were experiencing was that problem management became a paper exercise. It was all about filling in, going to the technical resource, what is the root cause, documenting it, but then not really doing much after that. So the technical resources were not taking ownership. They, in fact, felt that problem management was all about red tape. They weren't taking problems seriously enough, which meant that serious problems took very long to fix. And they also had the technical resources often wanted to work on quick fixes rather than permanent improvement solutions. Well, that really started to hurt the organization. So what they did was they took the advice that Marcel was talking about early on in the presentation, and they sent a big group, in fact, almost 80 to 90% of their technical resources, as well as the service desk team. So they introduced the entire team to the same way of thinking. Now, what this helped them to do was really introduce a structured approach to analysis. Okay, so they actually started talking to each other. They learned about the benefit of not shooting from the hip, because we don't jump to conclusions or jump to the cause, as we say. And this really got the entire team thinking more in lines of, hang on a minute, we need to do problem management does have a purpose. Problem management can be effective if we actually play ball. And ultimately, they got more ownership, better quality problem records. They experienced a much faster turnaround time on their incidents as well as their problem. But I think the biggest thing that they got from this 2-day KT training intervention was really the fact that they started working together as a team. They realized that they were working against each other before. They walked out of the exercise a lot more motivated, and actually having spoken to each other and really seeing that they can actually work together on a problem if they all were in line with their thinking. And that to me is the biggest gain that you can get from a KT Foundation course. Aurélie, over to you.
Yes, perfect. Wow, that's great. It's good. 5 good scenarios. So I'm just looking at the time, and we are running now a bit over time. So here is just an overview of the Kepner-Tregoe program that you can offer to your customers. So there's the KT Foundation offering a classroom. It's 2 days, and it's offered by ITpreneurs. Marcel is one of our instructors for this, and also you can offer it to your customers, and you can also become an instructor for Kepner-Tregoe. And then we have 2 advanced class, whether if the professionals want to develop more in problem management or incident management. And these are delivered by Kepner-Tregoe Master Trainers. All right, and as part of our marketing support, what we do to help our KT partners get started, we're launching a new product. So we're launching KT to their market. We provide them with what we call a marketing in a box. So it includes all the marketing collateral that they need to be successful in their marketing campaigns. So if you have any questions, feel free to write it in the chat box. I can always
and to apply the KT methodology, we should ask, what questions do you have?
That's very good.
Anything I'd like to know.
So what questions do you have, audience? So I see a questions. It's just about the webinar. So the webinar is being recorded and it's going to be sent to you. Thank you. So I think we are running now, we're over time, so we're going to end this webinar. I see more questions, But if you have more questions, please feel free to send it to us, and we'll be happy to answer them. If you want to know the requirements for becoming a KT instructor, you can also visit our website, and you will find all the information there. And if you want to know more about what's the objectives at the end of the KT Foundation, there's also a course fact sheet on the website. With that, I would like to thank you again, Marcel and Madeleine, for this great presentation. And I'm going to wish you a nice evening. And here is our contact details if you want to reach us at ITpreneurs. All right. Thank you very much all, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.